All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is TopherSmurf. We are going to be covering all of the buffs and nerfs that have come to Summer's War Chronicles, coming up with this next update on Thursday. Massive amount of units that got changed. So we've brought in AgentSmith1589. He's a big time Sky Arena player, has now hopped over and been playing Summer's War Chronicles a lot too. So we have him on. He's a top level player here on Villagewell server, and he's been a top level player in the Sky Arena for quite some time. So we're going to get his input, see what he has to say. As you guys know, I'm one of the better players on the servers, but the gap between myself and those that are at the very top is astronomical. So we want to make sure we get the right opinions in here. So we're going to be covering all the monster balances and changes. So first, I want to introduce Agent Smith 1589. Tell us a little bit about your Summoner's War history, and yeah, we'll start there.
Hello, everyone. I have been playing mobile games probably for like, I don't know, 12 years. Started with like Clash of Clans. Uh, Summoner's War I've been playing since 2016, I think.
Yeah,
Uh, Long time. Been playing Summoner's War Sky Arena. Um, G3 and pretty much everything except Special League there. Um, and then I hopped over to Chronicles and I've been playing a lot of Chronicles. Love these style of games. I played like Lineage 2 Revolutions. It's kind of similar to this one, but this one has a lot more depth to it with because it has a lot of Sky Arena elements like runes and stuff.
right.
So enjoying the game. Uh, yeah, pretty much.
Awesome. I guess to add on to that, like, what are your thoughts overall about the game as a whole, and how do you think the development has been so far?
It's a fun game. It's definitely got a lot of positives going for it right now. Obviously, easily a game can always go either way. Um, they just really what they have been doing, which is what they need to keep doing, is being really on top of updates, getting feedback, fixing things, buffing, just being really attentive to the game, especially while it's early. But also, they really need to just release it everywhere. That's
Yeah.
probably the one thing they really need to do.
Yeah.
Uh, get the player base up.
I think, yeah, that's
Uh,
the number one negative thing I see online is just where is it at? Why isn't it
you know,
here? So many
where's where's EU? Where's
right?
Southeast Asia? Where's so
Yeah,
it's
the
like I get
majority
it.
of my viewers are from EU, I believe, because yeah, it's just not out over there, so they're either VPNing in or just watching for now.
Yep. But yeah, otherwise they're doing a good job of at least listening and getting feedback and then
Right.
fixing things. So they
Yeah,
just
they
need to
did
keep
have
up
the
with that.
big survey they put out, and they had some pretty interesting questions that seemed pretty on point for what the community wants.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so like you were saying, updates are going to be one of the things. Monster balances will be one of the things that keeps it alive. They certainly did that, and they've balanced, well, hopefully balanced a ton of units. So I'll pull up the little uh, diagram here of all the units here that got buffed and nerfed. Tons of them, mostly buffs. It seems like just bringing a lot of units upwards. And what is your thought overall on their balance right now? Like just bringing so many monsters up instead of debuffing a ton of monsters.
It's good. You want because it's so much easier to get Nat fives in this game as opposed to Sky Arena.
Right.
You want more viability across the board so that you get more diversity in what you want to do, such as if your thing is PVE dungeon racing or raid clearing, fast speed clearing, like you have those options. If your thing is PvP, you want to do brawl arena, you want to do battlefield, just dominate battlefield. There's lots of options for that as well. It's like being able to bring different play styles, which is what Sky Arena was really good at. Being able to do that in this game is going to be a really good thing, and that's what buffs and nerfs should focus around. Primarily not nerfs unless something's being super overused.
Right.
Um, like Cleef's Endure, which I'm sure we'll talk about
Yeah.
later. Just things like that. If it's being hyper overused, it needs to be nerfed. But otherwise, a lot of people use like Theo Karambit because that's just what we have.
Right.
So we're still early in the game, so
Indeed.
just keeping that in mind and then buffing accordingly. Mostly buffs though for now.
Yeah. And that's definitely what we saw. So I guess let's talk about this first piece. We're not going to necessarily cover every monster that was changed because not everything is super interesting. But we'll start out with this first major change here, which was the attribute advantage damage. So I was a little bit confused by this. So overall, this means we're getting less damage from all of our.
So the way it works in Sky Arena is the mechanic is when you are at element disadvantage, you are attacking a unit of element disadvantage. You have reduced crit damage, reduced crit rate, and a 15% or 50% chance to glance. Um, and glancing reduces you even more. So essentially, what they're doing is they're taking those mechanics of Sky Arena of element advantages and translating them into this game to be more relevant. Because right now, element disadvantage is not even remotely relevant.
Right.
I see a Theo, I don't care. I'm taking my segment because it's just gonna pummel it, and it doesn't matter.
Right.
Um, they want element advantage to be more relevant, I guess.
Right.
This also helps buff Orbia, which a lot of people, have been wanting Orbia buffs. So let's buff Orbia even more.
Right.
So this assists not just Orbia, but also in your monster selection. Somebody selects an all fire team. I pick an all water team. I should have the advantage.
Right.
Right now, you don't.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's primarily what this is to fix.
That totally makes sense, and that's gonna bring more into the pick ban phase. It's gonna make it more interesting, because
You
you actually
you slap down 2 fire units your first 2 picks. I'll go water, and it should be to my advantage.
right.
Right now it isn't.
Got it. All right, so let's move on then. Big change right now to the bombs and bombers in general. Bombers have been a big thing in Sky Arena, and they're extremely useful in Sky Arena. Not so much here, though. Do you think this is going to help at all?
So bombers in Sky Arena have gone through so many different phases, and it's kind of funny seeing it happen here in this game too. Because initially there was no way to detonate bombs in Sky Arena. Sierra was kind of just awful. Bombers were kind of weak, even though they had their 2 turns. It's like, well, there's cleansers, there's other things. Um, then eventually they added Sierra's detonate, and they started adding more detonates into that game. And bombers were like pretty meta for a bit, and then they just really, really fell off hard.
Right.
Um, especially with the advent of artifacts and other things. Anyway, I won't get too into the Sky Arena stuff. All that to say, in this game, I think bombers are still in their sort of weak phase even after this buff. It's like, can they work? Sure. You're gonna need to combo a lot, and you're gonna need strips. You're
Right.
gonna need something like Gianna, Sierra, Juno.
Right.
Like triple. You're gonna have to run like triple Oracle type things to make it
Right.
work. You
Right.
need the strips, you need the bombs, and you need stack on stack bombs. It's like either that or you need to be running cooldown reductions, things to like a frigate or something to
Right.
be keep cycling through your bombs so that you keep stacking them an infinite stun.
Right.
But again, those are combos. And combos, you just remove one piece of the combo doesn't work.
Right. Is
So
there without making this too long, is there what do you think they need to do for bombs to actually make them viable and useful?
bombs need a really short bomb time
Yeah.
to be viable. Or the stun needs to be much longer. One of
Okay.
the two, not both, because both would be broken.
Right.
One of the two.
Okay.
Short bomb time, or when the bomb goes off, much longer stun.
Gotcha.
Because then it allows me to do more, allows me to recover, and then maybe place more bombs so that CC teams are a little more viable. That's kind of the problem in this game is CC teams are really not viable um, unless you've got some broken LD5s.
Right.
Um, like eventually, maybe in like 4 months when I have the gold, I'm gonna build a really nice CC team with Isis, Gianna, and some other stuff.
Right.
But of course, I'll need the gold for that.
Just flexing your double LDs right now.
Well,
Got to do it. I think we'll come back around to the big change, which is the ignore beneficial effects change, because I think that's what's going to be on everybody's mind since they built Theo, they've built Fire Raven, and a lot of people are running Cleave. So we'll come back around to that because I think that'll be on everybody's mind. But let's look at the last thing here was the Unrevivable is a new harmful effect. So right now only Fire Mermaid. So what do you think of that?
I like it. I like it a lot. Unrevivable. It's a debuff, right?
Right, it's a new harmful effect. Now we've already had that with what Mara and a couple other units that were
Yeah,
able to.
yeah. Cannot be revived is different from
Right.
unrevivable, which is I put that on. Like, let's say I have, not that I would. Let's say I bring Fire Mermaid to battlefield,
Hmm.
and I want to start really hammering down your units to so that they're unrevivable. So then I can throw that debuff on. They get killed. They're
Right.
not coming back.
Gotcha. So it's essentially the same thing, but it's in the debuff form.
Right. So that's the other question that we don't know is, can it be cleansed? Is it cleansable? Um,
I guess
those
if they
are
keep the same ideas from Skyrena, then yeah, it would be cleansable, right?
Yeah. So well, it depends because there's Dumon in Sky Arena, the dark Onmyuji or
Right.
Anamush, whatever her name is.
Right.
She puts on a death skill that's uncleansable,
Okay.
where the unit will die in 4 turns. There's nothing you can do about it.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to be like that or if it's going to be a cleansable debuff.
Gotcha. All right. So we got a couple Magic Knight changes, mostly buffs, but then the water one seems to be nerfed. So makes it to where the recovery doesn't stack with multiple attacks. I didn't really feel like she was that great overall, but
Yeah, most of the Magic Knights were kind of lackluster except for Lupinus.
right.
But she's only really good because she goes through Endure. So
Right.
uh,
See how that
we'll
goes.
yeah we'll talk about that.
We got it.
In terms of the Magic Knights, they're kind of okay. I think they're better in slot units for most of what they do.
Right.
Um, but they're not the worst. But I do think that there are better options. So I don't think these buffs and or the nerfs kind of take Lupinus out of the meta, but the buffs don't really bring them into like super viability. They're just okay.
Gotcha. We got a Dark Panda Warrior and Water Panda Warrior. Looks like his water one is continuous recovery added, but only on his ultimate Reckless Assault. So
Only on the ult. Interesting. I
it
thought it
says
was
ultimate.
also his regular ult.
Unless is the skill called Ultimate Reckless Assault? I thought it was just called Reckless Assault.
I believe it's just called Reckless Assault. I
So
will pull up the book.
yeah, they do make a distinction here because later on they'll have in parentheses ultimate included, right?
Yeah, just Reckless Assault is his normal S3, and then the ultimate Reckless Assault.
So if they're specific with their wording, it sounds like it's only on the ultimate.
Then that is much less good. I think they should throw it on his regular S3.
Right.
Because even still, he's kind of really tough to use. Because he only targets one person. Like,
Right.
if his S3 was area of effect, I think it would be an okay trade off. It'd actually be pretty good. But not only is it single target, but then it's not even getting the buff. I think Molong is still going to be a storage unit, unfortunately.
Right. Sky Dancers, of course, light dark. We don't have to talk too much because most people don't have them. But the fire and wind one, fire one got a decent little buff. I thought it was already decent, and then the wind one, I've seen a lot.
I definitely already like all of the Skydancers. I think they're all have their place and they're all pretty good. Fire one with the buff is going to be even better. So if you haven't built a Skydancer yet from the Chestoon event, you may want to consider building the Fire one. I think she's probably going to be the best
Right.
in terms of both damage and support. Um, pure support, obviously Chestoon's going to be better. Good heals, attack buff, all that good stuff, Falling Blossoms.
Yep.
But I think Huahi Fire One is going to strictly be better,
That's nice.
in my opinion.
I do have the fire one, and I was a little upset at first because I didn't feel like she was that great, but then kind of come to see she actually is quite a bit better than I thought.
Yep, I like her a lot. I think she's pretty good.
So the sylphs in general, we don't see a lot of them. Do you think any of these help?
Do I think a small 7% damage buff will make the Sylphs viable? No, I do not.
I know. Let's see. The wind one does have a remove beneficial effects, but there's so many other units that are just better at doing that.
Uh, Tons of units are better in slot than the sylphs for pretty much everything. So
Yeah,
not that they're not usable. You could use them
sure.
if that's what you're stuck with. Then that's what you got to use.
Right.
So
And for the most part, most of your Nat 5s are going to be better than a lot of 3, 4 star options. So, you build what you got.
that is how gacha games work.
Indeed.
Build what you're given.
All right. So, Polar Queens, we haven't seen a ton of them. We see some Brandia here and there, for PvE stuff. The light one got a buff and a nerf at the same time, and then the wind one is straight buff.
So Tiana, I already really like Tiana.
Okay.
I think she's really good in certain situations, particularly battlefield. I think that's where she shines the most.
Interesting.
You get those big zergs, pull the Tiana, it strips all the buffs,
Hmm.
and it just gives you an instant ultimate, pretty much.
Right.
In terms of the light one, I haven't seen too much of her. I don't think I've seen
Right.
anyone use her.
Right. Also an LD5, so you don't see a whole lot of those.
But we like skill cooldown decrease. That's always good.
Hmm.
It's actually why I think Verd is probably double, triple S tier PVE unit because Verd does that. If you're a speed runner,
Right.
he's the best unit for that.
Right.
Kind of like how Argon is just the best single target damage unit in the game.
Right. Yeah, it's funny.
Um,
We haven't seen a ton of Verd, but yeah, you look at his skills. I'm like, yeah, this should be broken.
it is broken. Verd is if you are looking to like really up your PVE speedrunning game, Verd is it.
Nice. Verd and Argon together would be crazy.
Yeah, I mean that's what you want. You want like a Helia, Crow, Verd, Argon. It's just like you're gonna melt everything.
Right. All right. Mermaids in general have not seen a ton. We've talked about the fire mermaid getting pretty big buffs, even more here. Do you think any of them really have a place? I do see fire here and there on some other streams, but
No, no, I don't think so. I don't think we're gonna see many mermaids. We might see the fire one get some play, maybe in Battlefield.
right,
Um, Overall though, no. I still think Molly and Beta both are pretty lackluster, unfortunately,
right.
as well. No,
They just
don't see.
don't feel like they do enough things.
It's the same problem in Sky Arena. It's if a unit only does one thing, that's not very useful. I need you to do four things because I only have so many slots.
Right,
It's like I need you to have speed lead plus strip plus this. So Mermaid is like, well, I can do one thing really well. It's like, well, that's nice, but
right,
I only get 3 units. So
right. Indeed. Okay, so Desert Queens, we got Hathor and we got your new Isis.
we do love the Isis. Uh, Gonna be even better. Hathor already a pretty good brawl arena unit in my opinion.
Yeah.
Same thing with Praha. I think those are two units that are really overlooked.
Hmm.
Praha and Hathor, I think, are very good in Brawl Arena. Um, and I'm not sure why Korea's never really used them.
Right.
Um, I think if Brawl Arena is your thing, Hathor or Praha, Sleep is very good. I don't know why people think Sleep isn't good. Get your units single target, make them tunnel one thing, kill things one at a time. That happened to me with I was fighting J-Baze yesterday, the number one player in our
Yeah.
server. He had the Praha, and that's all he did. He
I was
just
going to specifically say people in the Discord were talking about J Babes using this crazy sleep comp. So
he brought the sleep comp, just infinitely slept me, killed my units one at a time.
yeah,
So it's really good.
nice to know that you were the victim in those rumors.
I was one of those victims. Well,
Uh,
that's the problem. You run into the top players. Like,
yeah,
well, at least it's only -2 points for me. So
right. Not too bad. We got all of the beast monks. Every single one of them got something more.
I think beast monks are in an interesting spot. I kind of like them. Um, I just feel like they're all missing like just a little bit of something to push them over into like super viability. It's not that they're not viable; they are. They're pretty good, and tanky units are always really good
Hmm.
in this game in particular.
Right.
The tankier your unit, the better off you are.
Right.
Um, unless you're running double revive comps, then you want squishy nukers. But
Right.
beast monks, pretty good. I don't know. I wouldn't build one.
Right.
Our resources are limited,
Right.
and it's like if I have to allocate my resources to only certain things, it's not going to be a beast monk.
Right.
Because what does it do for PvE? Not much. What does it do for PvP? Well, it's okay, but there's other units I could build that are better.
Right. You got your Ariel buffed even more. I already thought Ariel was pretty decent.
We like Ariel. I like Ariel. I think he's really good now. He's going to be on the same tier as Annabelle.
Right.
They're both pretty much the same unit, just doing slightly different things.
Right.
It's like Ariel's cleanse plus defense buff. Annabelle is cleanse plus defense break. So
Right.
depends if you're more reactive or if you're more offensive.
Right.
So if you like the sit back comps, the big stall meta kind of, which exists right now, Ariel's your boy.
Well, yeah, especially with defense scaling monsters, which seem to be pretty good right now too. Ariel buffing that as well.
Yep, yep. So I think you're going to see him used a lot more in PvP,
It's gonna
maybe
be
even on arena defenses as well.
yeah, that would be super annoying. Fire Pioneer Chiwu. He was already pretty good. Saw a lot of them, but now he does something that makes him even better. So
Yes, damage after strip, always good. We like that. Definitely makes him more viable. Good on a crit damage build. I should say better on a crit damage build. Um, yeah, still a good unit. Strippers are anything that strips everything is good. That's
right.
what you want. So
Let's see. Talk about the couple other ones. We got Water Monkey King. Don't see a whole lot of him.
I really like Water Monkey King.
Okay.
I've always liked Water Monkey King, even prior to his buff that he's going to be getting. But now I think with his buff, I think he is pushed into viable for RTA, the Brawl Arena.
Gotcha.
I like him. I like him a lot.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite units in Sky Arena actually. So I really enjoy playing with him.
Yep.
Let's see. We got Galleon. He was already seemed like he did a lot and pretty decent, but
Yeah, I liked Galleon from the start. He was one of those ones that I saw you could get him for free from the arena shop.
yeah,
Good unit, was good in Sky Arena, was pretty decent here, and is going to be slightly better. Still a setup unit though, ultimately,
right,
because you need to build him on. I think you probably need to build him on accuracy,
right.
because you want those defense breaks to land.
Hmm.
So you can't build him hyper damage. You probably would still build him damage, just because he does attack.
Right,
So, good unit, kind of a setup unit. Could be useful in a few areas. Probably wouldn't see him on battlefield, mostly PvP.
right,
I don't think you'd see him in PvE, just because there's better units like Helia, um, defense break brand, and that's what you want on a Ray boss. So
right.
things like that.
So a decent amount of the next couple ones. Not a crazy amount of interesting buffs, but is there anything down here, Ifrit, Valkyrias, Jack Lanterns, that you want to talk about? Anything that stands out?
Um, so I think a lot of the jack-o'-lanterns are really underrated.
Hmm.
I think they're all pretty good. They all have a place and they're all useful.
Yeah,
Um, like if I'm picking between a beast monk or a pumpkin, I'm gonna build a pumpkin because
right.
I think any of the pumpkins are pretty good.
Yeah,
Light one's pretty busted if you've ever read his skills. I like the light one.
can't remember. Yeah,
He does some crazy strip stuff. He's really good. In terms of the Valkyries, that's kind of whatever. They're Vanessa's still there. She's still gonna be there.
right.
Um, Ifrits, what are the big changes? Are there any big changes to Ifrits? I don't think so.
Just the dark one, a little bit more recovery from what he does.
He
And then
was
if
already decent anyway, so I
yeah,
think he'll just continue to be more decent.
of course, there's the big water Ifrit Theomar's change, which is the same, just endure. So what do you? I mean,
Yeah,
I guess we can come back around. I want to talk about Cowgirl and a couple things, but that'll be our next thing is talking about the endure buff. You've got a Loren.
I do. I do have
Lauren's
Loren.
pretty nice.
She is in my expedition team, the 50 repeats every
Right.
day. So she is going to be even better because now she's going to have heal block, and I don't have to run fire weapon every time.
Right.
So that will be nice.
Yeah.
Um,
Loren seems pretty busted.
she's going to be really good. She might even be useful in PvP.
Yeah.
I don't think she's good on battlefield.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think she's good anywhere else in PvE except for expedition. So you'll probably see her a bit more in RTA, things like that.
Right.
And then of course expedition. Both the cowgirls were, both the LD cowgirls were the queens of expedition, but Cassie, well, not so much anymore. But
Right. And they threw in some notable mentions here: Water Fairy and Water Mummy. Interesting to throw just 2 3-stars in here.
yeah, they're going to continue to sit in your storage.
Yep. I've seen a couple people run the Water Fairy in like the B15 teams for Arachne because she
Ugh,
purifies the
no,
poison, but it's just like you just speed clear that at this
no.
point.
Yeah, at this point we can all pump out enough damage. So
Right. Let's change over to what everybody's probably asking about is the big endure change. Cleef, Theo, Karambit, Lupinus. How does this all play out?
I'm probably going to end up restoring Karambit after the change.
Yeah.
We don't really need him in Naraka anymore because with the Naraka change,
Right.
and he's not going to be super useful because you can't go through Endure anymore. So he's probably going to get the boot, get the
Right.
old Restore Stone. Theo is going to be much. Uh, Theo's really not going to change a lot, just because Sekhmet can still, give me your Endure.
Right.
Um,
I feel like in a way it makes both of them worse, Cleef and Theo, just because now if the segment doesn't need as much damage, right? Chiwu too, they don't need as much damage to take out your Endure and you.
yeah. Um, I also Cleef is still going to be pretty good,
Right.
but I think the summoners are going to be a lot more balanced overall with Cleef's change because Cleef can't spam Endure with Dark Weapon,
Right.
and also just the Endure is just nuts in Battlefield.
Right.
It's really difficult
Right.
unless you're running Sekhmets,
Right.
which now we all are. But
Right.
um, I think it's a bit positive change. I think it's a good thing that the summoners are going to be a bit more balanced. Orbia getting a couple of buffs, Kina getting a lot of buffs.
Yeah, let's go down with that.
Um,
Hina's huge amount of buffs. Too many? Question mark?
yeah, I kind of do think it's too much.
I didn't feel like she was that bad. Like
No, she's not, and Kina was already decent. Now she might be the top summoner. We'll see.
yeah.
Good chance that Kina will be the top one. Cleef.
Especially yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, especially in this like super brawly, healy, tanky meta, like Hina just feels like nothing will ever die. So now she does that even better.
Yep. And then Cleef, he's gonna still be pretty decent. I just think that you can't. I think that what they're trying to do is end these hyper stally teams
Right.
that are just like for supports.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I'm gonna run around the battlefield till the damage ticks up, and then I'm gonna kill you.
Right.
Um, so that there's a little bit more thought into what you're doing, because Cleef, and we are both Cleef mains,
Right.
but Cleef's a little brain dead in how you play him.
Right.
Um, you just you're just get Endure and do things.
Right.
So I think adding a little bit more nuance to how you play Cleef is good. Buffing the Orbia is good. She's a damage dealer. That's what she should do.
Right.
The Kino is probably a little overbuffed in my opinion, but we'll see how it plays out. I also think the introduction to the Beetle Knights are going to buff Orbia even more,
Right.
because the Beetle Knights are going to, like, I think it's the Water Beetle Knight that's going to be really good for
Mm-hmm.
Orbia.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
So overall, though, good changes, needed changes,
Yeah.
needed nerfs. Unfortunately, certain units are inadvertently nerfed.
Right.
like Lupinus and Karambit. Same thing with like the bomb changes. Units are inadvertently nerfed, like Fire Pyre Captain detonators. Anybody who detonates is just nerfed because now bombs just detonate themselves.
Right.
Just put another one on. Just kind of inadvertent nerfs like that. And unfortunately, you probably, if you have an Argon, just go ahead and restore your Lupinus. Build the Argon.
Right.
Karambit, you could keep him for Naraka if you really want, but you could also just build other units.
Yeah.
Which is probably what I'm gonna do. Probably gonna restore my Karambit once the patch hits.
Yeah. We'll have to check back in and see kind of thing how everything lays out, after the Karambit does get changed. Let PvP sort of settle a bit and see how people go.
Yeah.
I guess the last question I have for you, wrap things up. So a lot of the buffs, a lot of changes. Of course, we'll have to see how everything pans out. Overall, just about Summoner's War Chronicles, do you think what's like an improvement that you think that needs to happen, like as of right now, to keep the game relevant for you to keep playing?
They could make a lot of changes to keep the game fresh and relevant.
Hmm.
Honestly, different seasonal bans for units are good and healthy for a game. So that way you're
Hmm.
not constantly having to buff and nerf things.
Right.
It's just we're gonna keep this unit the way it is. You just can't use it for this week for arena
Right.
on AD or
Okay.
brawl, whatever. I think those are always really good things that Sky Arena kind of really dropped the ball on.
Okay.
They could have done that and they never did.
Right.
Um, I think it was a missed opportunity. It's something that they can do in this game though.
Right.
Big change that I would like to see. More gold. We need more ways to get more gold.
So say we all.
We want to play your game. Come to us. Give
Right.
us the gold to do it.
Right. This I mean, not to get off topic or off track, the little starfish event, pretty good for gold, yeah.
Yes, use all of your starfish for gold.
Yeah.
Every single starfish you have, use it for gold. I mean, get the restore stone and
Yeah.
then use the rest for gold.
Yeah, 100%. You can always farm transcendent stones, you can always farm other things. But yeah, that gold. 50,000.
50k per 10.
Yeah.
Also, do your field events.
Yep.
Get them starfish.
True. Indeed. All right. Well, thank you, Agent Smith, for coming on and giving us all of your wise words of wisdom as per
So
all of
many,
these.
so many wise words that
So
I
many
have.
wise words. Tons of buffs and nerfs. We'll see how they all pan out. Let everybody know. I know I've linked your Twitch before, but you do stream on Twitch every now and then. Sky Arena
I
stuff
do
mostly, right?
stream once or twice a month on Fridays. That's when I stream.
Yep.
I haven't done a Chronicle stream yet. I may do that at some point. The problem is I usually stream in the evening.
Yeah.
So it's like I've already done everything for the day.
Right.
Which means I'd have to save all my content for the day
Right.
for stream after. But we'll see. I might do one of those one of these days.
I'm sure people would love to watch. So I'll make sure to link his Twitch guys down there in the description, so that way you guys can go and check out Agent Smith. So again, Agent Smith1589, thank you for coming on, and we'll definitely see how this all pans out.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
All right, man. We'll catch you later. All right, guys. That was Agent Smith 1589. Thank you guys for joining. Thank you guys for walking through all of these different monsters with us. A lot of changes that we're just gonna have to see how everything pans out. It's gonna be really fun, and I think it's gonna really bolster up the enjoyment of PvP. So that way we can start seeing some new monsters in PvP. As usual, thank you for joining. My name is TopherSmurf. If you liked the video, if you liked the things that you see, make sure to like and subscribe. And I will definitely catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.